Greetings, everyone. Greetings. Welcome to Beyond Boardroom Business. I'm your host, CoachSteffanie, and tonight I have a special guest. I know many of you are familiar with Portia Bruner from Fox 5. Well, she's here tonight, and she's going to talk about her show and wellness. And so please gather all your friends and family and just join in on this show. And so without further ado, let me bring on Miss Portia. How are you tonight?
I am doing well, Stephanie. Thank you so much. I am just honored for the invitation to be in this space with you and talking about the issues that impact so many of us in this community, particularly women. So I'm honored. Thank you so much.
Oh, wow. And really, thank you. So let's get started. Who is Portia Bruner?
Who is Portia Bruner? This is why I never ask people to give me the questions in advance. I think first and foremost, I mean, if I had to do just quick nouns so that I know, because I know you've got a lot of ground you want to cover, and as a talk show host, I can appreciate that. I am a believer. I am a mother of two incredible sons, 16 years old, rising high school junior and a rising Tuskegee University sophomore. Wow. I am a talk show host. I'm a storyteller. I'd like to believe that I'm sort of moving in the tradition of our African ancestors as a griot, telling stories, passing stories down, sharing stories, hopefully that either uplift or inspire, inform, entertain, educate. I believe in doing all of those in the space and the platform God has given me. I am an artist. I'm actually working in my studio today, what I call Studio P. The studio at the station is Studio B, not because it's for Bruno, but there's a Studio A, B, and C. And the Portia show is done in Studio B. This is Studio P, so I'm also a visual artist. I love to paint. I love mixed media. I love exploring with, different canvases. There's a piece of wood down there that I started painting on last night. And I was like, what am I doing? But this is sort of where my alter ego likes to explore and be a creative. And I'm also an avid thrifter. When you have to change clothes twice a day for shows, you learn how to do so on a budget. And I am a single woman trying to figure it out. I just turned 52 just a couple of weeks ago. So as a healthily divorced, I call it, because I think some people are still sort of in a recovery period after divorce that really needs to be tended to. But I am healthily divorced and co-parenting with my son's great father. So I think there are a lot of different layers, and I am goofy. I'm so goofy, and I have absolutely no rhythm whatsoever, but I don't care. So I just keep dancing. And I think that often catches people off guard, because I think people are so used to Portia Bruner, Fox 5 news anchor and reporter for years, that they did not really get to see this really goofy side of me that only my friends and, the parents and the kids from my kids' school got to see. So it's kind of fun to sort of let it all hang out and be the girl from Denver, Colorado, who moved to Atlanta 20 plus years ago and just fell in love with the city and the South.
Wow. That's a mouthful right there.
It is.
So how did you get started with storytelling?
Oh, it's the only thing I've ever done consistently my entire life. That is the truth. When we were little and the teachers used to ask, what did you do over the summer? I always had these long, elaborate stories that may or may not have been true, but I loved telling these stories because the class was like, oh my gosh. I loved writing. I loved writing poetry as a kid. My mom has this cutout from an art class, I think, that I did, or an assignment where we had to do, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I cut out a picture of a woman and a newspaper, and I had her holding the newspaper and some sort of a satchel that I thought looked like something Mary Tyler Moore would be carrying, because I knew that I wanted to be a storyteller. I just always wanted to do this. And I wanted to be the first Black woman writing in space. And in 7th grade, we were sitting, crisscross applesauce, watching the Space Shuttle Challenger go up, and then it blew up. And that literally was like, that just was so jarring, right? To be a middle schooler watching a space shuttle blow up. For everyone it was, but it really made me think, okay, I don't want to tell stories in space anymore, but I still want to keep telling stories. So here we are. And I had internships in college. When I was at Howard, I was on the student newspapers, and at every school I've ever, attended, from, I guess, middle school, high school, on through Howard, and had internships afterwards. That's just what I always knew. My mother said, you talk a lot, so you'll probably make a living talking and reading. Mama says, thank you, Mama.
So were you ever shy?
I'm still shy. I just play it off.
Okay.
Yeah. I was shy. I've always felt like the ugly, awkward Black girl. I was never, not the one who was necessarily picked to, when they were picking who's going to be on the softball, who's going to be on kickball. I was not, because I was awkward and very nerdy. In high school, I blossomed a lot more, and, ran for student government. I went to a very small, there was a private Catholic all-girls high school in Colorado. Shout out to St. Mary's Academy in Inglewood, Colorado. And I really kind of blossomed there in an all-girls space. But still, as one of only a handful of Black girls there was still this constant growth and evolution. So there's always been a shy girl. So I thank the shy girl in me for sort of pushing through all that it takes to be in a very forward-facing position. But even in rooms now, it's sort of, I have a sort of a reset button that says, okay, they're expecting Portia Bruner, she better show up. But on the inside, little Portia's like, okay, we can do this.
Wow. That's good to know, because I still feel those butterflies, and you've had years of experience, and for you to still feel it, that's good to know that it's going to
absolutely. I try to be honest about that, so that other women who are shy, or girls who are shy, can see that we are not limited to how quiet we appear to be. Okay. And that we still have a lot inside of us that God has given us to share, and we just have to go from small to where God would have us to stand.
Wonderful. So how did you obtain your self-esteem, your high level of self-esteem? Was it from your mother, your community?
I love your questions.
Thank you.
It was always kind of a shift for me, because I'm like, getting adjusted to being on the other side. Right. My search for self-esteem, I think all of us, or most of us, I guess there are a bunch of folks who just wake up every day, I'm so self-assured every day, and I admire those people. My search for self-esteem, it ebbs and flows, right? Given the project, given the assignment, given the interview, given when I'm watching the show and I'm like, oh gosh, why didn't you ask about the such and such? Why? Okay. Oh, you missed a good follow-up there. So it is a constant evolution. I have to say, I have a very healthy self-esteem now, but that took a lot of rebuilding and restructuring after divorce. And to be clear, this is not my husband did this, my husband did that. I never, ever have anything disparaging to say about the man God saw fit to align me with, so that we could have two amazing sons. That's right. But anybody who's been through a divorce knows it takes a heck of a lot of work to find yourself again as a woman that's no longer identified as a wife. Yes. Especially when you thought you were going to be a wife all your life. Well, not all my life. I didn't know I was really going to get married and have kids I thought it would be a nice idea, right? I thought it would be a beautiful concept, but I was so locked in on storytelling, I did not know. I wasn't one of those girls who like imagined what a wedding would look like, but when it happened, I was grateful. But losing all of that and having to grow from it, that took a lot of work. And so I guess the how is just sort of the daily effort of getting back up after feeling like you're not quite enough.
Yes.
And recognizing that you may be enough in other spaces. You may be enough to the woman who needs to hear from you. The woman who's looking to you, whether your hair is in its natural state, or if you got a little extra, or you've got your bone straight weave hanging down your back, or your braids, right? That there may be something that somebody needs to see in you that might help them strengthen. And so it's sort of the daily commitment to, okay, God, and trying to have starting the day in conversation with God. And I fall short some days, right? You get a text, it's something related to the show, and then you just dive in. And then, heaven forbid, you look to see how your last post did. Or heaven forbid, you see your girlfriend is having a birthday, or somebody posted a recent picture of their baby, or somebody got engaged. And then here we are, rabbit holing, right?
Yes, yes.
And we can stop all of that. What I found is that you start with a conversation with God, and you start in meditation, and you start with, God, what would you have me to do today? Who do I need to be present for today? Who do I need to pray for today, as opposed to asking for something? You know, I've got friends who are we all have somebody who's going through something right now, right?
Yes.
Do I need to call and check on them? Do I need to send a text? Do I need to take something? Do I need to do a sick and shut-in visit? Those are the kind of things my pastor said years ago. Your how did he put it? It was basically, and it was something scriptural, but don't get me lying about which scripture. But basically, your strength in heartache will come from your service. Because while you're in service and you're suffering, even if people don't know that you're going through something, and even if that something is just trying to rebuild your self-esteem, it fortifies you. Because I think it's because God sees you, and maybe it isn't necessarily rewarding you, but is in fact reminding you that there's still other work that can be done even when you're in suffering.
That's right. I agree. Wow. So how do you handle criticism from your viewers, your colleagues, or social media?
So that's a function of being in television, right? Or not even just being in television. You know, anyone who is sort of forward facing, and even the folks who aren't, right? But when you're forward facing and a whole bunch more other folks can see you and have something to say. I've been on the air since 1998.
Wow.
So you get used to people having something to say. You know, I graduated from Howard in 1995, right? My first job was behind the scenes, but it was behind the scenes in one of the biggest television markets in the country, which is Washington, D.C. I was working for a consumer reporter. So you had to, the bar was really, really high, right? You're this young college graduate working in this, nationally renowned consumer unit. So the facts have to be good. You have to be thorough. You can't sound young. You can't look young. You're doing stories that really help people, with their finances and with their living. So there's going to be criticism if you don't get it right, because you said you could handle this, right? So that was a good training ground. But then once you're on TV and you're telling people stories, and you've got to get, again, you got to get the facts right. You've got to get the empathy, the compassion, you owe it to the people whose stories you're telling. Even if it's bad news, you owe it to somebody to make sure that it's balanced or it's not too scary. And all of that can draw criticism. True. And you just recognize that, you you can't get fine wine without crushing a few grapes, right? And the finest grapes have to be crushed. So the first thing I do when I get some criticism is I say, what did I do to contribute to this? Did I miss the mark someplace? What did I do wrong? How did I misrepresent what I was intending to say or do? And then once I've assessed my role in it, if it's just trolling, I'm like, oh, poor baby. Baby ain't got nothing to do but to troll me and whoever else they trolled in the next scroll, right? So, just pulling from the 4 agreements, don't take anything personally. Unless it needs to be taken personally. And if that means there's a self-correction that needs to be done, then you correct. But I don't respond to, because we get lots of emails from people who feel like the show is quote unquote diverse enough. And straight talk, I'm comfortable with showcasing the stories of Black men and women and children in a way that helps change the narrative of our people. And I can still be inclusive and demonstrate what it looks like to bring other people to the table, which we also do on the show. So we've had people from other ethnic backgrounds on the show telling their stories, either from a cultural perspective or having nothing to do with race. They just happen to be the expert for the particular topic.
Right.
So I recognize when somebody is coming for us and coming for me, you don't have enough white people, or you don't have enough this, or you don't have enough men on the show. I'm like, okay, clearly they haven't watched the show. So I'm not going to pour a whole lot of energy into somebody who's not informed. And generally speaking, when people are mean with their criticism, it's probably not me, it's them.
Exactly.
So I try to make sure that I'm not getting too invested in it. Because, you can see 1,000 comments, right? And the 3 that were the mean ones are the one that make you go, But it's also because it's toxic and it poisons the well, right? So then you see that people are trying to see, especially on social media, how's she going to handle this? How's she going to respond?
Right.
So I feel like no answer is an answer usually. Or I will maybe privately find an opportunity. But you have to be careful because now in screenshot culture, people will turn that into something.
Exactly.
But I really try to be intentional about making sure that I am moving in a way that honors other people's feelings and honors God. Yes. And so I feel like if I'm on my P's and Q's, if I have offended somebody, I did not mean any harm. So let me go back and reassess. And if I really didn't do harm, then I'm like, okay, well, that's on them.
Right. It was them. So was there a moment when you realized, wow, I have my own show with my name on it?
Yeah. Every day when I walk into the studio, Steph, seriously. Sometimes when I come out of makeup and I'm going through the studio to get upstairs and get with the team and do pre-show production, I honestly just stop, especially if they've lit the studio earlier. And I'm just like, God, I thank you. Yes. And I thank you, not because my name is on it, but I'm not going to pretend like that's not cool, right? That is cool. But I'm thankful that other people thought enough of what God has given me to bring to the table, to then share that table with others and put other people in a place where they can share their stories. So it is mind-blowing sometimes. I was in the thrift store the other day, shopping for season 4, and was walking towards the TV aisle. And they had Portia on. And I was like, mind blown, what is happening? And you would think, you know what I mean? Steph, we do more than 200 episodes every year. And we're about to roll into our 4th season, right? Wow. So that's more than 600 episodes that we've already done. And I still stopped and was like, oh my gosh. Oh God, thank you. What were you thinking with that hair? Like all of those things process. But yeah, I'm grateful. I'm excited because we get to talk about things that are making people feel better. Every time I'm in my neighborhood Kroger or somebody else's neighborhood Kroger or anywhere, and people are like, thank you for telling our stories. Thank you for making us feel seen. Your topics are so interesting. I lock in on what people say they like about the show.
Yes.
Beyond, oh, you're so this is yours. Because I need to hear, what am I doing that is making people want to come back for more, right? If you can cook, which I can't, but if you can cook, whatever your cook is, right? If you can do a good talk show, you want feedback, right? What did you like about this recipe? What did you like about this meal? So let me keep making sure I make this meal so that people will feel like they want to keep consuming it. So yeah, it still trips me out, but I'm just so grateful that I get to make a handful of people feel good for 30 minutes a day or an hour in Atlanta.
Wow.
And
I love it. So how challenging is it for someone to start a show? What do they have to have?
Ooh. So let me be clear. I did not start this show.
Okay.
Fox 5 came to me after I had been at Fox 5 as an anchor and a reporter for 19 years. They came to me in March of 2022 and said, hey, we have been noticing this, especially right after COVID, because in COVID, I was really intentional about being engaging. I was doing lives literally during the newscast. I'd tap in over during the commercial breaks and be like, how y'all doing? Tell me what you're doing. Did you see that story? Blah, blah, blah. Because what I realized is, how so many people were struggling with engagement, being locked in the house. Well, not locked, but having to stay home.
Right.
That there was this craving for interaction. And I'm like, well, what am I doing? I mean, I read my show, you read your scripts, read ahead, and then lock back in. Everyone wants to feel seen and heard. Yes. And so that apparently those lives really caught the attention of management. And even because I used to do them in the live truck on the way to stories with my photographer. I used to call it the man on the left, the photographer. Yes, there are female photographers, but most of them are men. So I called it man on the left. And people would love it because we'd be talking trash on our way to assignments. If it was appropriate, if we were on our way to bad news, I wouldn't do it. But, they came to me and said they noticed all of that, plus the storytelling skills. And they felt like it was, and we were coming, post Breonna, post George, post social justice. And it's not post, right? Because it's still ongoing. But there was this hyper awareness of what Black people were longing to see and hear more of and less of. Yes. And so they said, we want to do a talk show that sort of puts a spotlight on Black women in Atlanta and in the Black community. And I was like, oh, that sounds like a great idea. And then they were like, and we have an idea for who we'd like to host it. And I was like, oh, who? And I'm thinking in my mind, so-and-so good, so-and-so.
Wow.
I wonder if they're going to ask me to produce it. And they were like, we want you to host it. And I was like, what? And I remember I audibly said, they said, and guess what we want to call it? And I was like, we got a whole bunch of hours of Good Day Atlanta on Fox 5, right? So I was like, good day, good afternoon, Atlanta. Right? There was no part of me that thought that they were going to say, Portia.
Wow.
And at that moment, I remember pausing and just audibly saying, God, I thank you.
Yes.
Not because you're going to name it after me, but because of everything that I have gone through to get to a point where engagement with our people and all viewers of all backgrounds, sincerely, I'm not just saying that, but making sure that our people in a space where sometimes the media don't felt seen and heard.
Yes.
God, I thank you for allowing me to use this voice to be a platform for others.
Beautiful.
So what it takes to make a talk show, I can't say about all of the logistics, but I can tell you it takes funding, it takes support, it takes universal support. And I'm not going to mince words there. There are a whole lot of white folks who help make this show come together. There are Asian, Latino, there are a lot of people who work behind the scenes who are truly allies of what this show's mission is, who are pouring into this. But it also takes good technical people, good production people, right? People talk about the Beyonce concert. Let me be very clear. I'm not comparing myself to Beyonce. Do not come for me, Beehive. Do not come for me. I'm just saying, part of what makes her show so amazing beyond her talent, the production value. I can sit here and you and I can have a conversation, right? And this is interesting. But when you've got the bells and the whistles and you've got video and you've got all these other things happening and you've got a performance from Karen White, oh my gosh, Karen White's on the Portia, right? Those are the production values that make it interesting as well. So you really need a very talented team, and you need people who are willing to bet on you, and you need to be able to deliver something that's worth investing in.
Oh, wow. That is an incredible answer. What kind of episodes are you looking for the Portia show?
For season 4? Yes. Or what do we like to talk about in general?
In general.
So I always tell people, these are our target topics, and fill in the blank. You can, if you imagine an old school file cabinet, right? There's a whole bunch of drawers. The drawers are labeled faith, family, fitness, finance, mental health, physical health, food, and fun.
Wow.
I keep feeling like I need to add another F in there for the 10th one, because it's 9, and I'm so type A. An odd number drives me crazy, but that's what I always break it down into: faith, family, fitness, finances, mental health, physical health, food, finances, and fun. And the pinky just keeps hanging out there. Like, you don't have one for me? Not yet. I don't know. We can think of another, non-offensive word that starts with F. That'll be it too. But the relationships shows, which in some form or fashion always cover many of those, are also very important, because I think that the dynamics of the relationships in our family, in our communities, are so important. The parenting relationships, the marriages, the couples, the exes, the finding new relationships, all of those things are topics that we'd really love to delve into. But we also go really heavy and very serious, right? That's when we talk about physical health. We've done episodes about prostate cancer, vitamin D, liver transplants, and all these things that can be kind of heavy and maybe even sound boring if you just look at the title. But it's bringing in people who can make people understand, and bringing in interesting guests who have interesting stories that make you go, you know what? I do need to go and ask somebody why my eyes are looking a little tinted yellow today. There might be an indicator that this is something here. So I have a disorder called psychogenic stuttering that I was diagnosed with in October of 2017. I didn't know it, but I was having a nervous breakdown. My brain was finally just like, we're shutting down. This is too much stress. I was a couple of years out of divorce, still trying to rebuild self-esteem, still trying to manage what it looked like to be a co-parent, as opposed to what I call an in the home every day, getting to see your kids parent, getting to check homework parent, getting to, what did you do on the project? What do you mean you left your at my house? Parent, and still trying to get to work on time, do well on TV. And I had covered this horrible story about just a terrible crime that happened to a little baby. And when we finally figured out, we did not figure it out. When police did a thorough investigation and figured out who it was, while doing the interview, I thought I was fine, but I guess it was really, really bothering me, which most people would say, well, of course it's supposed to bother you. But when you cover crime and horrible things happening to horrible people, your brain develops sort of a protective shield so that you can cope, deal with, manage, report, not make it too unpleasant for others, but still be respectful of the families who are going through these things. You become a very processed thinker. So you don't recognize that there may be signs of trauma. So I didn't recognize I was stuttering. And I didn't recognize that my face was looking like I was having a stroke. I was like, what are you talking about? I don't hear anything. We weren't on air yet, but my photographer shut it down. He was like, I can't put Portia on TV like this. Her face pulling to the side, and she. So long story short, ended up being diagnosed. They did brain scans. There was no tumor. No TIA, no mini strokes. Nothing happened. There was no aneurysm. It was very clear, and a neurologist figured out that if I snapped, I couldn't stutter at the same time. And as soon as I stopped snapping, I'd go back to struggling. And he was like, "Oh, yeah, it's psychological." I mean, I don't want to get too technical, but it was neurological, but there wasn't a neurological deficiency. So if my brain could snap and not stutter, he was like, "Yeah, you're stressed out."
Right.
And so I recognized then how important it is to make sure that we are talking about issues that are important, that may not be things that people would. So if I said, we're doing a show today about psychogenic stuttering, you would check out. You'd be like, what? The only people who be watching were me and my fellow stutterer. Shout out to the folks who stutter and can't snap out, right? For some people, it is not neurological or psychological. It is truly a physiological, situation. But when I started talking about the fact that if I'm scared, if I'm highly stressed, not regular stress, but highly stressed, right? You're under some kind of duress and pressure. I'll start stuttering again. But what I was forced to do was learn how to meditate, learn how to pray, I had to go to speech therapy to work through the disfluencies.
Wow.
And when we do shows about things like that wow factor is why we keep the topics broad, so that everyone can have an opportunity to learn something new.
Wow, that is so beautiful. And I hate that you had to go through that. But
I am what I'm not, because if I hadn't, I wouldn't have had the testimony to share.
Right.
Because sharing it, when Beth Galvin used to work for Fox 5 as our Health Watch reporter, she did a story about it. And afterwards, people reached out because she did the whole thing, what it is, what it was, how I had to go through speech, meditation, learn how to pray more intentionally, meditate, learn how to stop stressing out over stuff you can't fix. Okay, he left Jupiter at his daddy's house, and it's going to just get turned in late. What's going to happen? He going to still be alive, right? Like learning how to process life stresses. A few people reached out, but I'll never forget the woman who reached out and said, I've been stuttering since my dad died, and I didn't realize why.
Wow.
So, yeah, I hate that I had to go through it, but I can't really say that I hate that I had to go through it. I'm grateful that I had to go through it, because I did need to learn how to manage stress better, because I was in a bad space. I was truly depressed.
Wow. And you overcame it, and I'm so thankful for it, because you're just an amazing, amazing woman, and I appreciate you. You inspire me, and I wish you much success with your show. And how can people find you?
You can find the show weekdays on Fox 5 Atlanta and Fox stations in Orlando and San Francisco, Oakland area. On Fox stations in those three cities. It also streams weeknights on Fox Soul in the evening. Sometimes the times change, but anywhere between 5 p.m. and 7 p.m. And we don't gatekeep. If you missed the episode, you can go find the whole episode at portiashow.com. You can also go to our Portia TV show YouTube page and just see clips. Sometimes people just want to go see the conversation, or they just want to see the performance. And then go back and look at the rest of the show later. And we're all over social media, Portia TV show on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. And if people want like more about me and sort of like how goofy I am and like all the painting and trying to lose this weight that I gained when I went to New York for my birthday and ate a whole bunch of pizza and lots of bagels and cheesecake, all that's at Portia 5 on Instagram, where I do a little bit more of a slice of life about my life as a mother and a storyteller and a believer and a sister just trying to figure it out like everybody else.
Wow, I love it. Well, I would love for you to come back in the future so we can just follow up with you and see how you're doing. And again, much success, and thank you for being on this show tonight. I really appreciate it.
Stephanie, I thank you for sharing your platform with me. I love and respect and honor the work that you do, and it's just always collaboration over competition. And I appreciate the opportunity to share it with your audience.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, everyone. I hope you all enjoyed this episode. It was very special to me. I mean, what can I say? I'm just speechless. I hope you all enjoyed it. And I look forward to interviewing more trailblazers like the one I just interviewed, Portia Bruner. She is an amazing person. And again, I am Coach Steffanie. Thank you for joining me on Beyond Boardroom Business. And until the next time, stay prayerful, stay present, and stay powerful. Peace.